Ladies and gentlemen, life has a way of teaching us lessons, but often we learn them too late. If we pay attention, there are truths we can see early, truths that can make life calmer, stronger, and more meaningful. Today, I want to share 5 of these truths. You cannot control everything. This is a truth that most people resist for much of their lives. From an early age, we are taught to plan, to aim, to strive, and to imagine that if we work hard enough, we can make life bend to our will. We think that if we prepare carefully, make the right choices, and persuade the right people, the world will follow the path we want. But life has a way of showing us, again and again, that the only things truly under our control are our own thoughts, judgments, and actions. Everything else, other people's decisions, accidents, illness, the weather, the unexpected turns of fate, exists outside of our power. To fight against this truth is to fight against life itself. Consider how often we worry about events before they even happen. We imagine outcomes. We feel anxiety over what others might do, and we blame ourselves when things go wrong, even though many factors were never ours to command. The truth is, our energy spent on what we cannot control is wasted, and often it leads only to frustration, bitterness, and a sense of helplessness. Yet when we turn our attention to what is truly ours, our choices, our responses, and our intentions, we regain freedom. The mind that recognizes this distinction is lighter, sharper, and more at peace. Many people misunderstand control. They assume that control means the ability to shape outcomes exactly as they want. But true control lies not in bending reality to our desires, but in bending ourselves to reality. It lies in preparing for what may come, adjusting when necessary, and refusing to let circumstances dictate our inner state. When you face disappointment, you can choose to be bitter or to learn. When someone acts unfairly, you can rage against them, or you can respond with reason. When plans fail, you can collapse into despair, or you can adapt and continue. Control is not about forcing the world. It is about mastering your own responses. This principle applies in every part of life. In relationships, you cannot make others love, respect, or agree with you, but you can act with kindness, honesty, and integrity. In work, you cannot guarantee recognition or success, but you can perform your tasks with diligence, care, and skill. In health, you cannot prevent accidents or illnesses entirely, but you can nurture your body, adopt good habits, and respond wisely to challenges. By focusing only on what you can shape, your efforts become more effective, and your mind remains calm. The paradox is that by letting go of the illusion of control over everything, we gain true power. Those who cling to control over external events are constantly at the mercy of change. Those who focus on their own judgments and actions navigate change with clarity. The storms of life continue, but the mind that understands its limits moves with them instead of being smashed by them. Every disappointment, every failure, and every twist of fortune becomes an opportunity to practice patience, courage, and discernment. Most people realize this truth too late. They spend years chasing outcomes, trying to micromanage the uncontrollable, and wondering why life feels so heavy. Only when they are forced to confront loss, illness, betrayal, or failure do they see that the source of suffering was their attempt to control the uncontrollable. The lesson is simple but difficult. Stop trying to command the world and start mastering yourself. Focus on your choices, your intentions, and your judgments. Recognize that everything else is beyond your power, and your mind will become lighter, more resilient, and more free. Focus on your thoughts and actions, not others. Too often, we let the behavior, opinions, and decisions of other people dictate our feelings and our peace of mind. We react to criticism, envy, praise, and disappointment as if they were forces beyond our control, when in reality, the only thing that truly belongs to us is our own mind. Every moment spent worrying about what others think, trying to change them, or resenting their actions is a moment stolen from the life we could be shaping ourselves. We cannot control others, but we can control how we think about them and how we act in response to them. This distinction is the foundation of freedom and clarity. The world is filled with people who will disagree, act unfairly, or pursue their own desires in ways that frustrate us. Expecting everyone to act as we wish is a certain path to suffering. When we cling to the idea that others must behave according to our standards, we set ourselves up for endless disappointment. True wisdom lies in recognizing that other people have their own intentions, limitations, and beliefs, and that these are beyond our command. We cannot make others wise, moral, or kind, but we can choose to act wisely, morally, and kindly ourselves. Our thoughts are the lens through which the world appears, and they determine our experience far more than external events. Anger, envy, or resentment does not come from the world itself. It arises from our own judgment of what has happened. When someone insults us, it is not the insult that harms, but our belief that it has power over us. When we focus on controlling our own mind, we reduce suffering, gain clarity, and respond with reason instead of impulse. Choosing our thoughts deliberately allows us to remain steady, even when the world around us is chaotic or unjust. Focusing on our own actions rather than others' mistakes is also a path to improvement. If we spend time blaming, criticizing, or worrying about what others do, we lose the energy that could be used to better ourselves. Self-mastery is the greatest achievement we can pursue, because it is the only thing fully within our reach. Each moment we act with discipline, courage, and honesty strengthens our character, while the world around us continues as it will. By turning inward, we become stronger, more resilient, and less dependent on the shifting behavior of others. This principle also fosters peace in relationships and society. When we release the desire to control or manipulate others, we approach interactions with calmness and fairness. We communicate clearly, act justly, and accept others as they are. Conflicts arise less frequently, and when they do, we are not tossed about by them. We no longer expect external validation for our happiness, nor do we hinge our well-being on someone else's mood or choices. Our focus on our own actions creates a stable foundation for life, a foundation that does not crumble with the whims of others. Many people struggle with this idea because it feels unnatural to let go of influence over others. We want to be liked, respected, and validated. We want the people around us to act according to our ideals. Yet, the more we demand control over them, the more frustrated and unhappy we become. By accepting that others are outside our control, focusing instead on our own thoughts and deeds, we gain a freedom that cannot be taken away. It is not easy, and it requires constant attention, but it is a freedom more valuable than any external success or approval. The mind trained in this way does not react with fear or desire to the opinions of others. It chooses its own path, holds to its principles, and acts with purpose. By focusing on what we can shape, our judgments, intentions, and actions, we cultivate resilience, wisdom, and a sense of peace that is independent of circumstance. Every day, every choice, and every thought becomes a practice in self-mastery, a step toward living life with reason, rather than being carried away by the whims of others. Happiness comes from within, not outside. Many people spend their lives chasing things they believe will make them happy: wealth, power, status, praise, or the approval of others. They imagine that when they achieve these things, contentment will follow naturally. Yet the truth is that no external possession or circumstance can guarantee peace of mind. A house can burn, money can be lost, friends can betray, and the applause of the crowd can fade. If our happiness depends on these things, it will always be fragile, temporary, and easily stolen. True happiness is not found in the outside world. It is cultivated inside, in the way we think, choose, and perceive life itself. The mind is the source of our suffering and our joy. When we rely on external things for happiness, we surrender our peace to forces beyond our control. We become vulnerable to disappointment, fear, and envy. Someone richer, smarter, or more successful appears, and we compare ourselves, feeling less than or anxious. Someone criticizes or misunderstands us, and we feel pain that comes not from the act itself, but from our belief that it defines us. When we tie our happiness to external events, we allow our emotions to be manipulated by chance, by others, and by circumstances we cannot govern. The solution lies in turning inward. Happiness comes from the choices we make, the judgments we hold, and the actions we take. It grows from clarity of thought, integrity of character, and the understanding that we have control only over our own mind. A person who cultivates inner strength does not need the approval of the world, nor is shaken by fortune's turns. They recognize that external events are neutral, and that what matters is how they respond to them. Pleasure and pain are fleeting, but virtue, wisdom, and reason remain. By focusing on what is truly ours, we create a happiness that is durable, steady, and independent of luck. This inward focus does not mean rejecting life or ignoring challenges. It means accepting reality as it is and meeting it with a composed mind. When difficulties arise, instead of despairing or blaming, we ask how we can act rightly, what we can learn, and how we can maintain our inner calm. When success comes, we accept it without attachment, knowing that fortune can change at any moment. In this way, happiness becomes a habit, a state of mind, rather than a fragile reward contingent on circumstance. Many people are surprised to discover that the more they seek happiness in the outside world, the more elusive it becomes. The pursuit itself can generate anxiety, desire, and disappointment. We chase possessions, relationships, and achievements, thinking that they will fill the emptiness inside, only to find that satisfaction slips away as soon as it is attained. True contentment, however, is not about adding something to life, but about refining our mind, training our thoughts, and shaping our judgments. It is about recognizing that we already possess the capacity for happiness if we turn inward and exercise reason. The world offers no guarantees, but the mind can be trained to find stability. The person who understands this truth can experience joy even in hardship, gratitude even in scarcity, and peace even in the face of loss. They do not demand that life conform to their desires. Instead, they shape their desires to align with what is within their power. Pleasure and pain, praise and criticism, success and failure, these are all passing events. The foundation of happiness lies in a mind that is self-sufficient, disciplined, and wise. Happiness from within requires constant practice and vigilance. Every day, thoughts must be examined, impulses restrained, and judgments guided by reason rather than by fleeting emotion. Every encounter with life, whether joyful or painful, becomes an opportunity to strengthen the mind, to act with virtue, and to cultivate contentment that does not depend on circumstance. By focusing on the inner world rather than the outer, we gain a freedom and serenity that external fortune can never grant, except pain and loss as part of life. Too often, people resist the difficulties that inevitably come, as if suffering is an enemy to be avoided at all costs. From the moment we are born, life exposes us to challenges: illness, disappointment, rejection, failure, and the loss of those we love. To wish these things away is to wish away life itself. Every person will face hardship, and the more we deny or fear it, the more it controls us. Suffering is not an accident or a punishment. It is a natural part of living, and the way we respond to it determines our strength and our peace. Most of us are conditioned to see pain as a signal of failure or as something shameful. We try to escape it through distractions, possessions, or comfort. We avoid confronting the reality that life is unpredictable and that loss is inevitable. This resistance causes more suffering than the events themselves. When we are hit by misfortune, our mind often reacts with anger, regret, and despair, as if the universe has wronged us. The truth is that life does not owe us ease, and it does not act according to our preferences. What matters is how we meet what comes. Pain and loss are opportunities to practice courage, patience, and wisdom. When we lose a job, a relationship, or a possession, we are faced with the choice of how to respond. We can sink into resentment, blame, and self-pity, or we can focus on what is within our control: our actions, our attitude, and our effort to move forward. Hardship strips away illusion and exposes what is real, including our character, our resilience, and our capacity to endure. By accepting suffering as inevitable, we no longer waste energy resisting it, and we begin to use it as a tool for growth. Life's losses remind us of impermanence. Friends grow old, loved ones die, wealth comes and goes, and our own health is fragile. To accept this is not to become cold or indifferent, but to understand the nature of existence. By facing reality clearly, without clinging to what is temporary, we cultivate freedom from fear and anxiety. We learn to appreciate what we have while it is present, and to endure what passes without despair. Pain and loss, when understood, sharpen the mind and strengthen the spirit. The greatest tragedies often reveal hidden strength. When life takes away what we treasure most, we are forced to confront our attachments and our expectations. The process is uncomfortable, but it teaches self-discipline and perspective. The mind that has practiced acceptance becomes steady in the storm, unmoved by fortune, and capable of maintaining dignity and reason even in difficult circumstances. It sees hardship not as punishment, but as a test and an opportunity to act rightly. Many people spend their lives avoiding pain, chasing pleasure, and clinging to comfort, believing that happiness is the absence of difficulty. This is an illusion. Life is full of challenges, and happiness that depends on their absence is fragile. Real contentment is found when we accept that suffering is inevitable and learn to face it with clarity and courage. Each loss, each disappointment, and each setback becomes a chance to practice virtue, to strengthen the mind, and to live deliberately. The way we treat pain and loss defines our character more than any success or joy. When adversity comes, the untrained mind reacts with anger, fear, or despair. The trained mind, however, observes, accepts, and acts with wisdom. It understands that the world is beyond its control, that misfortune is natural, and that the only true power lies in choosing how to respond. By accepting life's hardships as inevitable, we gain resilience, perspective, and a deeper understanding of what is truly important. Each encounter with suffering can be a teacher. It reveals weakness, tests patience, and demands courage. Those who embrace this truth learn not to be crushed by life's blows, but to use them to grow stronger. In facing pain without resistance, we discover the strength of the human spirit and the freedom that comes from focusing on what lies within our power. Rather than clinging desperately to what lies beyond it, time is your most precious resource. Every moment you have is unique and will never return. Yet most people treat it carelessly, as if it were unlimited. We fill our days with distractions, busy work, and trivial concerns, believing that there will always be time later to pursue what truly matters. We postpone meaningful actions, delay conversations with loved ones, and waste hours on things that leave no lasting value. Life is short, and every second that passes is gone forever. To recognize the value of time is to recognize the value of life itself, for they are inseparable. Many spend their lives chasing wealth, status, or pleasure, thinking these will make life meaningful. In doing so, they sacrifice the most important resource they have: their attention, their presence, and their capacity to act. Money can be earned again, possessions replaced, and opportunities missed can sometimes return, but once a moment is gone, it is gone forever. Time cannot be bought or recovered, and the way it is used defines the quality of life. To waste it is to waste existence, and to use it wisely is to live with purpose. The wise recognize that the value of life is not measured by how much we acquire or how others perceive us, but by how we spend our time. Every choice is a test. Will this hour be spent on what builds the mind, strengthens the character, or nurtures relationships, or will it be frittered away on distractions and meaningless concerns? Each day offers countless opportunities to act with reason and intention, yet we often ignore them in favor of convenience or fleeting pleasure. By focusing on the present and using it well, we honor the gift of life itself. Time also teaches the inevitability of change. Our lives are not eternal, and circumstances are constantly shifting. Opportunities, health, relationships, and resources are all temporary. Recognizing this truth should inspire urgency and meaningful action and calmness in the face of loss. When we value time properly, we are less likely to waste it on envy, grudges, or meaningless disputes. We understand that every moment is an opportunity to practice virtue, act with purpose, and strengthen the mind, and we begin to live with intention rather than habit. Many people postpone what they know is important. They wait for the right moment to start a project, speak the truth, or express gratitude. Yet life rarely provides perfect conditions. Waiting often becomes an excuse for inaction, and the years pass unnoticed. The most meaningful work, the most important conversations, and the deepest joys arise when we act now, not later. Recognizing the limits of time encourages courage, decisiveness, and a focus on what is truly significant, rather than what is trivial or distracting. Time also emphasizes the importance of presence. Many live physically in one place while mentally elsewhere, consumed by regrets about the past or worries about the future. In doing so, they miss the moments they could experience fully. The present is the only moment we truly possess, and it is the only opportunity to act wisely, show kindness, and live authentically. By valuing time, We learn to focus our mind on the now, to observe life clearly, and to act deliberately rather than reacting impulsively. Understanding time as precious reshapes priorities. It encourages simplicity, attention, and discipline. It reminds us that relationships, learning, and meaningful work cannot be postponed indefinitely. Every hour invested in growth, understanding, and virtuous action compounds into a life of value and resilience. The waste of time is often invisible until years have passed, but mindful use of time creates a foundation of purpose, peace, and freedom that endures even amid change and uncertainty. Time is the one resource that cannot be replaced, renewed, or regained. Wealth can come and go, status can rise and fall, health can improve and deteriorate, but the moments of life, once spent, are irretrievable. Every day, every hour, every minute is a chance to act with reason, to practice virtue, and to invest in what truly matters. Awareness of this truth brings clarity, urgency, and a profound appreciation for life itself. Train your mind to stay calm and clear. The mind is the foundation of all our actions, decisions, and experiences, yet most people allow it to be tossed about by every passing thought, emotion, or circumstance. Anger, fear, anxiety, and desire often rule daily life, leading to impulsive choices, regrets, and unnecessary suffering. The world is unpredictable, but a trained mind remains steady amid chaos. Calmness and clarity are not natural for most, but they can be cultivated with practice, discipline, and conscious attention. A calm mind sees reality as it is, without distortion from strong emotions or biased judgments. When the mind is clouded, small problems appear enormous, and minor setbacks feel unbearable. Without clarity, decisions are based on impulse or fear, rather than reason. People argue, make mistakes, or act unjustly because their minds are overwhelmed by emotion, and they fail to consider what is within their control. By training the mind to remain calm, we create space to respond thoughtfully, to act with integrity, and to navigate challenges effectively. Clarity of mind allows us to distinguish between what is important and what is trivial. Much of the stress in life comes from giving attention to things that do not matter, petty insults, minor inconveniences, the opinions of strangers, or fleeting desires. A clear mind recognizes these distractions and refuses to let them dictate feelings or behavior. It focuses energy on what is within reach, what can be influenced, and what contributes to virtue and wisdom. The rest is observed without attachment, without anger, and without unnecessary worry. Training the mind requires daily effort. It is not a one-time achievement, but a lifelong practice. Thoughts must be examined, impulses restrained, and judgments guided by reason rather than emotion. Each time we notice anger rising or fear clouding judgment, we have the opportunity to pause, reflect, and respond with composure. Meditation, reflection, and conscious attention to our thoughts are tools for this training. By observing the mind and practicing self-discipline, we gradually replace reactivity with calm deliberation. Emotions themselves are not inherently harmful, but uncontrolled emotion is. Anger can lead to cruelty, envy to resentment, and fear to paralysis. A trained mind does not suppress emotions entirely but directs them wisely. It observes without being consumed, measures responses, and chooses actions that align with reason and virtue. Calmness allows us to endure difficulty without panic, and to make decisions without being blinded by temporary desires. Clarity allows us to see the world as it is, rather than as we wish it to be, and to act effectively in response. The benefits of a disciplined mind extend to every part of life. Relationships become more harmonious because we are less reactive and more understanding. Work and tasks are handled with greater skill because we approach challenges thoughtfully. Decisions are sound because they are rooted in reason rather than impulse. The mind becomes a tool for mastery over life, rather than a servant of fleeting passions or external circumstances. By cultivating calm and clarity, we gain freedom from the turmoil that so many experience daily. Many people underestimate the power of a trained mind. They focus on external success, possessions, or approval, thinking these will bring happiness and security. Yet without mental discipline, all external achievements are vulnerable to disturbance. A wealthy, respected, or successful person who cannot control anger, fear, or desire suffers more than one with little but a steady mind. The mind shapes perception, and perception shapes experience. Therefore, Investing in mental training is the most valuable pursuit in life. To maintain clarity, we must practice awareness in every moment. Observe thoughts as they arise, question judgments, and let go of impulses that lead away from reason. Avoid being carried away by rumors, distractions, or the constant chatter of worry and expectation. Each moment of attention strengthens the mind. Each act of restraint builds discipline, and each choice aligned with reason fosters calm. In this way, the mind becomes a fortress, unshaken by external chaos, resilient against fear, and free to act wisely in any circumstance. Desire and fear are traps. Overcome them. Most of human suffering comes not from events themselves, but from the constant pull of desire and the weight of fear. Desire urges us to chase what is fleeting, what is uncertain, or what belongs to others. Fear convinces us to avoid what is necessary, to shrink from challenges, or to cling desperately to what we already possess. Together, they govern the minds of those who are unaware, keeping them restless, anxious, and unfulfilled. To live wisely, one must understand that both desire and fear are illusions, and that mastery over them is the path to freedom. Desire is the mind reaching outward for what is not fully in our control. We desire wealth, power, approval, and pleasure, believing that obtaining them will bring lasting contentment. Yet these things are fleeting, unstable, and often come with unexpected burdens. Desire makes us dependent on fortune, on the whims of others, and on circumstances that can change in an instant. When we tie our happiness to what is desired, we surrender the peace of our minds to forces we cannot govern. True freedom arises when we learn to want only what is within our reach, when we seek virtue, wisdom, and self-mastery rather than external rewards. Fear is the mind recoiling from reality, imagining the worst, exaggerating danger, and avoiding discomfort. Fear paralyzes action, prevents growth, and keeps people trapped in routines that do not serve them. Fear of loss, of failure, of judgment, or of death controls more decisions than most realize. Yet fear is often based not on what is real, but on imagined consequences and exaggerated probabilities. By examining fear closely, questioning its basis, and confronting it with reason, we discover that much of it is unnecessary, and that the courage to act despite it builds strength and clarity. Desire and fear are connected. We desire what we do not have, and fear losing what we do. This cycle creates constant tension, restlessness, and dissatisfaction. People become slaves to the pursuit of gain and the avoidance of pain. They plan excessively, worry endlessly, and measure life by what is gained or lost, rather than by what is truly valuable. Recognizing this cycle is the first step toward liberation. We learn to redirect energy from chasing and fearing toward understanding, acting with virtue, and focusing on what is under our control. Overcoming desire and fear does not mean rejecting life or becoming indifferent to it. It means understanding the nature of what we chase and what we dread, and choosing priorities wisely. We can enjoy pleasure without attachment, pursue success without desperation, and seek safety without paranoia. By separating our happiness from external outcomes, we reduce the power of both desire and fear. The mind becomes steady, resilient, and capable of acting with reason, even in the face of uncertainty. Training the mind against desire and fear requires constant attention and practice. It requires reflecting on what truly matters, questioning impulses, and observing how emotions influence decisions. Each time we resist an unnecessary desire or act courageously despite fear, we strengthen self-discipline and deepen understanding. Over time, the mind grows less reactive, less dependent on circumstance, and less disturbed by events beyond its control. A life governed by reason rather than by desire or fear is freer, calmer, and more meaningful. Many people fail to realize how much their choices are driven by these forces. They justify actions by need, by want, or by anxiety, unaware that the mind has the capacity to govern them rather than being governed. To live fully, one must practice self-awareness and self-control, recognizing each moment when desire or fear attempts to dictate behavior. By doing so, the individual reclaims authority over the mind and life, achieving a freedom that cannot be taken away by fortune, others, or circumstance. Each challenge, temptation, or threat becomes an opportunity to exercise mastery. Every time desire is restrained and fear is faced with reason, the mind grows stronger, more disciplined, and less vulnerable to disturbance. Life will always present things to want, situations to fear, and events beyond control, but the person who masters desire and fear navigates these without being enslaved, choosing actions based on judgment and virtue, rather than impulse or avoidance. Life's value lies in how you live, not what you have. Too many people measure success, happiness, and worth by possessions, status, or the approval of others. They believe that wealth, fame, or external recognition will define who they are and give their lives meaning. Yet these things are fleeting, unpredictable, and outside of our control. A life filled with riches but empty of purpose or virtue is no more valuable than one stripped of possessions, but rich in wisdom, courage, and self-discipline. The true measure of life is how it is lived, through the choices made, the character displayed, and the use of time and reason. Many spend years chasing external markers of success, believing that these will bring contentment. They work tirelessly to gain wealth, social status, or the approval of others, often sacrificing relationships, health, and inner peace along the way. Yet even after achieving these things, satisfaction is rarely permanent. Fortune is unstable. Today's accomplishments can vanish tomorrow, and tomorrow's praise may never come. When life is measured by what is external, it becomes fragile, dependent on forces beyond control, and subject to constant anxiety. True value is created internally, in the cultivation of virtue, self-mastery, and reason. How we live each day determines our character and our ultimate fulfillment. Actions guided by integrity, patience, courage, and wisdom are meaningful regardless of circumstance. Facing challenges with composure, treating others with fairness, and investing time in growth and understanding are the elements that give life its enduring worth. Possessions, status, or praise may come and go, but the life of a person who acts with virtue leaves a lasting impact and a sense of satisfaction that cannot be taken away by fortune. The measure of life is in deeds, not in the accumulation of external things. This perspective changes the way we approach decisions and priorities. It encourages reflection on what is truly important and what is merely distraction. It guides the mind to focus on cultivating strength of character, nurturing meaningful relationships, and pursuing knowledge rather than chasing ephemeral rewards or the opinions of others. By valuing how we live over what we own or achieve, we align our actions with reason and purpose, rather than desire, comparison, or fear. Each day becomes an opportunity to live deliberately, rather than drifting through life as a passive observer of circumstance. Understanding the true value of life also prepares us for loss and adversity. When our worth is not tied to what we have, external setbacks do not diminish our sense of purpose. When possessions, status, or approval are lost, a life lived with integrity and reason remains intact. This mindset allows us to endure difficulties with resilience, knowing that the measure of a life cannot be taken away by circumstances. Life's richness comes from the cultivation of the mind, the strength of character, and the quality of actions, not from the stability of fortune or the opinions of others. Many people fail to see this truth because society constantly emphasizes external markers of success. Education, media, and culture encourage comparison, competition, and pursuit of material rewards. Yet those who follow this path often find themselves restless, unfulfilled, and dependent on circumstance. True fulfillment arises when attention shifts from what is outside to what is inside, the ability to act rightly, to respond to life with wisdom, and to align every choice with virtue. Life is not measured in possessions, praise, or achievements, but in the deliberate practice of living well. Each day presents countless opportunities to demonstrate this truth. Every interaction, decision, and challenge is a chance to act with integrity, reason, and purpose. Wealth and status may offer convenience, but they cannot replace the satisfaction that comes from living consciously, ethically, and courageously. The mind trained in this understanding finds peace in the present, clarity in decision making, and freedom from the endless pursuit of what cannot provide lasting value. The value of life is not a reflection of fortune or circumstance, but a reflection of how we use the time, abilities, and opportunities we have. The richness of existence is determined not by what we accumulate or are given, but by how we cultivate our character, exercise reason, and respond to the world with virtue. It is in the deliberate choice to act rightly, to grow mentally and morally, and to live consciously that life finds its true worth.